Good morning and welcome Wayne Smiley, Senior Solutions Engineer, Okta.
All right. Good morning, everybody. So, who's ready for their last day of reInvent, right? That's today, right? Oh, no, actually it's Wednesday. Sorry about that. We're going to talk about something you guys have never heard of before, and that is AI. So this is a new thing. We're going to talk about it today, just all new product releases. I'm joking. Obviously, we were just talking about this a second ago, probably the single most overhyped thing going on these days, but that's okay. It also has real value to it, and that's what we're actually going to talk about today. My name is Wayne Smiley. I'm a Senior Solutions Engineer at Okta on our Alliances team, and basically my day-to-day job is to work with AWS and how Okta works with AWS. I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking about what Q is. I'll show you some of that in a demo a little bit later. But what I do want to talk to you about is what makes a better together story between Okta and Q Business. And Q Developer for that matter, but we're not going to talk much about that today. And we've kind of broken it up into three areas. We're going to make it better, we're going to make it safer, and we're going to make it easier. Imagine that, right? There are very few times. I used to have a manager who would tell me, you can have good, fast, and cheap, or there's good, fast, and cheap, and you can have two of those three. We're actually going to give you all three, better, safer, and easier. How are we going to do that? Imagine being able to make sure that the right users have access to the right data that the RAG uses to produce that content in real time, coming from sources of truth like your HR system, or whatever else you have. Imagine it being safer. Phishing-resistant multi-factor authentication. Making sure that the user who logs in actually is who they say they are, that it's not a stolen credential or anything like that. And making it easier. One of the problems with the way Amazon has developed Q Business, for example, is that it uses Identity Center. And Identity Center is great for us IT guys, right? I've been an IT guy for my whole life. Doesn't matter to me. Clicking a few extra buttons and having to click through something is fine. End users, not so much. And if you're on the help desk, you hate that. So we get rid of that as well. Look, Q is great. Q Business is amazing. I mess with it all the time, and I love it. In fact, I wish we used it all day at Okta. We can take all these different things and bring everything together. Perfect example, sitting on the show floor, a customer comes up, I need to find out who their sales rep is, just so their sales rep can talk to them. I can go into Salesforce, that's going to take me 5 minutes, right, on my phone to figure out who their rep is. Or I can ask Q that can go into Salesforce for me, who is a rep for company X? There you go, done. Same thing with all your other systems. Imagine just being able to ask benefits questions and things like that. But what's important about that is, if I ask a question, I may get a different answer than somebody else because I have a different role. I work in sales. My wife works in marketing. She might not get the same answer because she's not going to see those same types of things on the back end. And I'll show you it being asked the same question from different people and getting different answers. Unfortunately, it's complex. But that's okay. We can help this. We're going to secure this. But as I mentioned before, automatic grouping of users from your sources of truth into Okta and then into Q. Automating your moves, as and changes, new hires, terminations, all of that, changes of roles. Self-service request. Imagine if, in order to save money, you don't give Q Business to all of your users, but then you do have some users who need it for whatever reason. Imagine a request process where they could just go and request that access and be given that access through a workflow, all automatically. And then, of course, attestation. Being able to look periodically and making sure that you're using your money wisely, right? Amazon Q is, I think, $3 or $20 a month per user. I may be wrong on those numbers. But why spend money for users who aren't using it? We can see who's actually logged into it, and we can give you reports. We can also send them out to managers, and they can say, oh, Wayne, he doesn't need that anymore, so let's take it away. And then, of course, security. Again, I mentioned phishing-resistant multi-factor authentication, device trust, making sure the device is one that we actually know it belongs to that user, and we know is exactly what it's supposed to be, and the user trust as well. All these things together are really, really important. Uh-oh. Sorry. Bear with me 1 second. This mouse is slightly finicky. There we go. Okay, so all that said, let's give a little bit of an example here. Here's an example of IT, and I wrote this one because this happened to me. I worked 15 years in IT for a company, and then all of a sudden I moved to pre-sales. Well, what happened? And this is to tell you how long ago this was. I was a domain admin, an exchange admin, all those things, right? It would never happen now, but it did then. but all those rights need to be taken away. We'll do that automatically. There we go, gone. Just by HR making one single change. But what about just basic moves, adds, and changes? Hey, I'm a new hire today, yay. I get email, Slack, whatever it is, Amazon Q. Tomorrow I told my manager what I really think of him, and I got fired. But how does this all actually work? Without Okta, as I mentioned before, it's complicated. All these different things that have to ping pong around, and your users have to negotiate all this, and that's hard. As technical people, it's fine for us, but it's not okay for users. We make it simple. The user logs into Okta the same way they get into all of their things. They go straight into Q. Everything's exactly the way it's supposed to be. Everything works in exactly the manner that it should. But what about the other apps that the RAGs use, for example? We do those. Sorry, guys. I don't know why this is going 2 slides at a time sometimes. We'll handle all of those as well. So whether it's pulling data from things like Zoom, which now is doing AI, if you're aware of that, or Slack, or anything else, we'll pull all those in. All that's done through Okta. It's all automated. So my point is, of harping on this point, is that it's very, very simple. Once you set it up, you don't even think about it anymore. It allows you to be lazy in a good way, which is great. I'm going to spend 30 seconds here being a little bit technical on this and tell you how we do this actual integration. And we do it 2 ways. We can either do it through AWS IAM Identity Center, formerly known as, the artist formerly known as AWS SSO, or we can do it through IAM Federation. And you can do either of these. And one of the greatest things about Okta in this case is you can actually do both. And this is a question I get from customers all the time. If you're an Okta customer and you're doing your AWS integration through Federation, you can continue to do that, and you can still use Identity Center to do Amazon Q. We have a lot of customers doing that. And the reason for this, and I've actually talked to the product managers at AWS, and they've told me there are significant advantages from their side to be using Identity Center as opposed to Federation. So you can do both with this, you can do this with Okta, no problem. And in fact, for that matter, you can do it with multiple instances. If you've got multiple AWS accounts and you want to do some through Identity Center, some through Federation, or both through both, whatever you want to do, that's kind of a core tenet of Okta. Wow, I'm sorry guys, this is strange. Okay. So anyway, that's really important. Would you guys like to actually see this? Let's go through and do a demo. All right. You have to bear with me for a second because the clicker is super strange. I'm going to start. Okay, perfect. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to log in as a user. Now, this user, Jennifer Jones, she is a brand new hire at our company. And what you're going to see here is that she's actually going to log in using Okta Verify. What's great about this is she has a MacBook, and what you saw there was her put her finger on the fingerprint reader, and it logged her in. There's her Okta dashboard, and all she did was click on the chiclet for Amazon Q Business, and she's in, just like that. No friction, no complication. So she's new. She's going to ask some questions to this thing just to figure out how to do things. The first thing she's going to figure out is, how does she get her email, right? How do I set it up on my phone? How do I set it up on my laptop? All that stuff. So she's going to go ahead and ask that. What's great is, it's taken documentation that the IT department has put in that everyone can see and has summarized it for her, and it's told her exactly what she needs to do and how to do it. Nice and simple. Well, that should not have happened. Hang on, guys. Not sure what exactly is going on here. All right, I can't get it to not start at the beginning again, so let's hope it stays okay. I'm not sure why it's flipping slides on its own. So anyway, we showed you this a second ago. In case you missed it the first time, here again. Do you know what's going on?
Disconnect the remote control. So we want to
Perfect. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Where are we? Okay. We're back to her setting up her email. Sorry about that. Always technical problems, right? Demos never go right. That's why I record these, and still they don't go right. So, as I mentioned before, here's how to set up her laptop, here's how to set up everything. She's all good to go. But, one more thing I do want to point out here. We'll actually give references, or Q will give references to where that it got that data, and you can see that's an actual link, and if you go down to sources, she can click on the sources and actually see if she wants to see that entire document. So she's got more questions. And of course, like everybody else, she got a small mailbox and she's going to run out of space. And how she did it on her first day is beyond me, but whatever. So her mailbox is full. How do I get more space? This is a common one users ask all the time. So it's going to summarize this for her. And I want to point out one particular thing, and you'll see why this matters in a minute. It's summarizing this from an end user perspective. What she's seeing here is that contact IT services to start a chat, yada, yada, yada. But my point is that we're going to get a different answer to this in a minute, which you'll see. And that's how we actually did this. So one more thing that's going on in our company. There is some super secret project that everybody keeps talking about. She's a new hire. She knows very little about it, but she's super curious. So she's going to ask Q about this project. Because we all want to know the answer to this. And I don't want to spoil the ending. So she heard about this new project. And she's going to ask and see what she can find out. And the answer is nothing. She sees absolutely nothing about this. Okay, we're now going to log in as Emily. Emily is an IT help desk employee, so she's trying to do her job more efficiently with Q. But again, Okta has told the system that she is in IT ops, so she's going to get access to things that Jennifer did not. She's going through some tickets. She's got a bunch of things for something called error code 123. She has no idea what it is. She's a basic help desk tech, not her thing. What it's telling her is that error code 123 is a data center power failure. Now, she is not in the same office as the data center, so this is kind of useless for her. So while that's great, she's got all this information, it's not helpful for her because she can't do anything about it. So what she's going to do now is she's going to figure out how to escalate that. And I'll also mention while this is waiting that it's summarized all this. That particular document is like 10 pages long, and it's summarized all that into something really short, which is what's cool about Q. Okay, so she's asking what the escalation process is. A couple of things to note here. I spelled escalation wrong. It doesn't care. It figured that out. The other thing is, it has context from my original question about error 123, so it's actually giving her escalation process that is specific to that exact situation. Again, I think Q is a fantastic tool, so I'm not here to sell you Q, I'm just telling you that it's great. Now she's got another ticket from this new hire. Can't believe it. Stupid boomers run their mailbox out of space every day. So she needs a summary of how to do a mailbox increase because half the known universe doesn't use email anymore. And here you go. What it's doing here is there's actually a long document that's in the IT ops area that tells them exactly how to do that, and it summarized that all up for them. And we won't read the doc, but you get the idea of what it's doing. Again, making this easy, and all this data is coming in this way because Okta has told it this person is an IT ops and has access to this, where Jennifer, our first user, didn't have that same level of access. And she'll go ahead and escalate that out and take care of all that too. But she knows a little bit more about what's going on. She knows that this new project has a name. She knows the name. So my coworker's working on Project Gandalf. Anyone want to take a guess at what Project Gandalf is? It's still not going to tell her. Can't find anything, doesn't know anything about it. But she doesn't give up. She's got more questions. She thinks she can pull this off. She asks again, and I will tell you in a longer version of this demo, I go on like 10 minutes doing this, still gives no answer. So she gets nothing. All right. Now we're going to go over to Jean-Luc. Jean-Luc is an IT manager. Jean-Luc was just told by the CIO that he is actually going to work on Project Gandalf. He knows what it is, and he knows that he's about to be read in. And he was also told that he now has access to it. So to get to the end of this part of it, well, look at that. Now we actually know the answer. We're going to harness the power of black holes for infinite power, which would probably be good for AWS. I think actually that'd be great. But anyway, what we've learned here is different users can access this in different ways and get different answers depending on what they do, and all that is being powered through Okta. What I'm showing you here is self-service. A user can go into Okta who doesn't have Q access, for example, and they can click request access. We could actually have a drop down here that says which piece of access they need, but we didn't do that today. This is a new department that's considering using Q, so what we're doing here is they're just going to ask a question. I'm checking out Q for a trial. This is the actual request workflow. Now, this is what's going to happen. You can see that different people are going to approve this, and that's all fine. Once that's approved, I'll tell you what's going to happen. It is going to put them in a group. That group will be synced over to Identity Center. Identity Center will assign them a subscription based on that group. They will be added to whatever groups they've been told they should, the system will automatically add them to, or they can manually add it to give them access to whatever they need. Simple and easy. I ran identity for a long time for a company, and the thing we used to joke about is, if you do identity correctly, it allows you to be lazy in a good way. And that's exactly what this is going to do for you. I'll just say it this way. We're pretty much coming to the end here, but I want to say, if you remember 3 things today, this is what I want you to remember. The first is, you can get seamless access to AI through Okta. You can increase your productivity in all Gen AI environments with Okta, and you can increase your security of the data in those, as well as making sure the users are who they say they are, and this is only with Okta. I threw up a QR code here that you can either do this, or the link is right here for those of us who are security geeks and don't want to click a QR code ever. And you can find out more information about Okta and Amazon Q. We've done a lot with them. We can show you any of this. You can also feel free to come by the booth. We are right over there, booth 443, I believe. And with that, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. And if you have any questions, I'll kind of hang around the back over there for a little while and answer anything you got. Enjoy the rest of your day.